Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hello and welcome. I'm Cynthia. So today I'm going to be teaching you guys on how to minimize indentation scars. So when you guys have acne prone skin, sometimes you guys end up with like this scarring, like the very deep indents. So today I'm just going to be teaching you guys how to minimize those. A subscriber did reach out to me and ask me on how I minimize my deep indentations, and I never really thought about it because I never really focused on those. I just focused on my oily skin and my acne scars. So thank you to you who suggested this video. Now keep in mind that this is a lot of makeup, and when you're trying to like minimize texture on the skin, it's either you apply very minimal amount so you don't build up more texture, or two, you build up in layers to really just make the skin look flawless. Keep in mind that this is a lot of makeup and may not be suitable for everyday wear. By the way, sorry if the lighting keeps changing, and sorry if there's any noise. It's so windy today. So I think that was really all I wanted to say. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get onto the tutorial. So there's going to be two key things that you're going to need for this look. Basically, you're just going to need a pressed powder and a powder puff like this. Excuse mine, and excuse mine is just a little dirty because I've used it a few times. So you want to make sure that your skin is clean and moisturized, and then you're going to take any pressed powder that you have. Today I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless powder. I really like this one because it's not too heavy and it is very finely milled. I recommend a pressed powder that is meant for a foundation rather than a pressed powder that is meant for like blotting or a translucent powder. And you want to make sure that you get a pressed powder instead of a loose powder. A loose powder I prefer to use when you're using it for oil control, but when you really want to minimize those indentations, you want to use a pressed powder because it can really get into those deep indentations, because a pressed powder is a little bit more finely milled than a loose one too. So you're basically just going to take some powder on your powder puff. You're not going to grab too much, because when you grab too much, that's when you can like make a mistake and go wrong with this technique. So you're just going to grab some powder and apply a thin layer on the areas where you really need to minimize those indentations. So for me, I like to focus it on my temples because that's where my deeper indentations are. And sorry about the lighting. Yeah, sorry about the lighting. So I'm just going to focus this here. And don't worry if it's not the same color as your skin. You obviously don't want it to be too light or too dark. Just find a powder that is really close to your skin tone. And if you want, you can also apply a little bit of powder where you have larger pores right here on your T-zone. And then I'm also going to be applying some on my nose. So that is the thin layer. I know it looks super thick, but it's not really thick. It's just because this is the coverage of this powder. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. And again, just focus it on the areas where you have the most indentations. And that is it. So I've applied a thin layer where I have the deep indentations. And then now I'm going to go in with my foundation. You can use whichever kind of foundation you want. I like using a liquid foundation. Now I know there's a lot of controversy about using a liquid on top of a powder, but honestly, you can do whatever you want with makeup, and this doesn't get cakey at all. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and just apply it onto my face. Now, when you're blending in your foundation, you want to make sure that you stipple it on rather than buffing it out. Today, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. powder brush to do my foundation. Areas where you didn't apply the powder, you can go ahead and buff. But wherever you apply the powder, you want to make sure that you stipple it in. Applying on that powder actually makes your foundation a little bit more higher coverage as well. By the way, I have tried this technique with a beauty sponge before and it works the same. So if you want to apply your foundation with a beauty sponge, it'll work. It'll definitely work. Okay, now that I finished my foundation, I'm gonna go ahead and apply concealer like how I usually would. Okay, now that I'm done with that, we're gonna go ahead and go back into our powder and our powder puff, and we're gonna create another layer. Now this layer of powder is just going to ensure that all the liquids are set in place, as well as it'll also just fill up any extra indents that needs to be filled up. So again, I'm just applying it on my problem spots, which is my temples and my T-zone area on the cheek. Now this part you can go ahead and apply as much as you want to, only because we are already finished with all the liquids. And I will be applying just a very light layer around my whole entire face, only because this shade is just a little bit darker than my foundation. Okay, now I'm just going to be baking my under eyes. And for this step, I am using a loose powder, but you can go ahead and set your under eyes with whatever you prefer. And then when I'm done with that, I'm just going to be dusting it all away with a dual fiber brush. Now, I don't like letting my powder sit on my face for too long because I feel like it dries out my under eyes. So I just once I finish putting it on, I dust it off right away. And then I'm gonna go finish my eyes and apply the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be right back to show you guys how the skin looks like. So this is the final look, and this is how my skin looks like with the technique. If you guys try this out, don't forget to leave a comment down in the description box and tell me if it worked for you and if you liked it, because for me, I really do think it makes a huge difference. And if you guys did learn something new and found this video helpful, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe down below for more future videos. And that is really it. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.